We'll be happy to answer any questions that folks may have at this time.
So, Dovilla, you talked about 2007, what happened with you. Can you explain a little what did happen there, and is there anything in this bill that would have prevented you from being disenfranchised?
Absolutely. This was the municipal elections in 2007, and I sent my application back to the Board of Elections in Cuyahoga County in September of that year, I think just during the very first week of that process where you could return an application. And part of this was timing, and that I was actually going on my mid-tour leave at the time. So by the time I arrived back, I had received a letter in Baghdad from the board indicating that I had not provided some numbers that were necessary. I don't remember if it was the driver's license number or the last four of the social. And what actually was the problem was there was incorrect information on the county's website at that point in time that didn't specify the need to include whatever those items were. And then as a result, by the time the additional correspondence went back and forth through theater, the ballot never arrived on time. In fact, I never received the ballot at all, even late. And so this bill would, I think, directly address that problem through the process of using either email or the internet for delivery of the application, and also even to register at a fairly late point in time to use that same process.
And the bill calls for an establishment of an emergency process for uniformed services. Can you give an example? What would that be, like an emergency process?
I think that's if there were contingency in the country. This is also not just for military, but for other overseas voters. So those who are in the foreign service or for other reasons maybe overseas at the time of an election. Should some type of contingency or an emergency occur in the country where the person is residing temporarily, this would allow for an expedited process to allow those individuals to vote as well. And again, it really relies very heavily on the use of the internet, which is something that, as I've looked at this over the years, and actually following up on my own disenfranchisement through that process about 3.5 years ago, I sent a letter to Jeff Hastings, who's the chairman of the Board of Elections in Cuyahoga County, just indicating that if we're able to move commerce, trillions of dollars on an annual basis around the world through electronic delivery and through internet services, banking, these sorts of things, there should be no reason why we can't find a method to put voting into that same category in a safe and secure way.
Is this going to end up as part of the larger election reform package?
Sure. You raise a good question, and I've often been asked that. Why is this a standalone bill as opposed to the larger election reform bill that we'll be having hearings on today? And the answer to that is very simple. The larger election reform bill has probably 75 provisions in it changing the law. And my experience in the last General Assembly with election-related bills is that it's very easy to get out there and lost in the thickets and then end up without a bill at all. With respect to the military, it's such an important part and such a nonpartisan part. Representative Dovilla came to me. We discussed this at length. He indicated Representative Stinziano from the other side of the aisle was interested in co-sponsoring. As chair of that committee, I believe that it's best to roll this bill out on a separate, completely nonpartisan basis to give it the absolute best chance of passage with a very large majority of votes. That's why it's structured